Assalamu alaikum students. Hope all of you are fine today. Today I have come forward with a new class on the chapter acids, bases and salts. After listening the discussion of my class, if you have any queries or doubts related to the chapter, you can call me every night in between 8 to 10. Students, as you all have learned about acids, bases and salts in your previous classes. Acids are nothing but sour things. All those sour things, it contains acids. They are corrosive in nature. Secondly, if you talk about bases, bases are bitter in taste. For example, you might be thinking about bitter gourd. Bitter gourd, its taste is bitter. So, what do you think? Does it contain bases? Yes, it may contain bases. So, bases are bitter in taste and they always react with the acids to cancel the effect of acids. They even react with the acids to form salt and water. When we go forward with the class, you will learn about different behaviors and the properties of these acids, bases and salts. If you talk about salts, salts are substances that are always neutral. They are neither acidic nor basic. Students, if you look around in your houses, you may find many household substances. And all these household substances, it contains certain types of chemicals. Some substances may contain acid and some substances may contain bases. So, to find out the presence of these acids and bases in all those household substances, you need to have a look at those substances by having some tests. So, we can do these tests to find out the acidic and basic substances in the things that we go for tests by using an acid-base indicator. There are many acid-base indicators which helps us to determine the presence of acids and bases in different substances. An acid-base indicator is a substance that gives different colors in acidic and basic media. At the time when we use an acid-base indicator, for example, a litmus paper, to find out the presence of acidic and basic substance in the substance, then what happens is that we find the changes in color. For example, if the substance contains acidic substances, then using a blue litmus paper, we find that the color changes to red. But in case the substance contains basic substances, then using the red litmus paper, we find the color changes to blue. So, it is clear to us that the blue litmus paper, when it changes to red in color, it indicates the presence of acids. And when the red litmus paper, it changes to blue in color, it indicates the presence of bases. Likewise, there are different acid-base indicators. Turmeric, China rose, red cabbage juice, all these can also be used as an acid-base indicator. But all these different indicators gives different colors in different media. Let us take the example of turmeric juice. As you all know, what is turmeric? Turmeric powders are mixed with water and it has been used as an indicator, which is called as turmeric juice, or you can also extract the juice from turmeric. The yellow turmeric juice turns reddish to deep brown. That means at the time when we use this turmeric juice as an indicator, it turns reddish to deep brown in basic media. In basic media, that means if the solution contains basic substances, then the color changes to reddish deep brown from reddish to deep brown. And if the solution contains basic substance, then we don't find any changes in the color. Likewise, if you go for using an indicator as China rose juice, then what happens is that it turns green in basic medium and red in acidic medium. So, as you have learnt the different acid-base indicators, so you can go forward and do some testings using such indicators to find out the presence of acids and basic in different substances that you have in your houses. For example, let me give you some examples of the household substances: the bathroom acid, the vitamin C tablets, lemon juice, orange juice. All these things you might be having in your houses. You go for having a test whether it contains acids or it contains bases. Using such indicators, you can easily determine what substances it contains, whether it is acidic or basic. Acids and their behaviors. Now let us learn about these acids and its behaviors. Students, I have already told you that acids are sortings. They are often corrosive in nature and they turn blue litmus paper to red if you use litmus as an indicator. Acidic substances turns into red color. All the sortings we eat, it contains acids. For example, lemon, orange, all these are sour. You all know this contains citric acid. Tomato, as you all know, it contains oxalic acid. Vinegar, it contains acetic acid. Likewise, many different acidic substances contains different acidic substances. If you talk about all the acids that you have in the foods that you take, like lemon, orange, or I have given the example of tomato and all, the acids present in it, these are natural acids, and such foods has got acids which are very milder in action. That is why at the time when we go for taking such foods in more quantity, we don't get any harmed. But at the time when we go for taking such acidic substances which are very strong in action, then what will happen? We may get harmed. So I am going to tell you the names of such acids which are very stronger in action. These are sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, and nitric acid. Such acids are also known as mineral acids. At the time when we go on touching such acids by mistake, what happens is that our skin gets burned, and such a burn is also known as acid burn. Now let us learn about how these acids are formed. You have learned that there are two types of acids: artificial acids and natural acids. Artificial acids are those acids which are made by man. That means such acids are very stronger in action. We do not use it as a play. That means we don't touch such acids by mistake. If it is touched, then it causes acid burns. But natural acids are those acids which are found in different types of food that we take, especially the sour foods. It contains natural acids. So you might be thinking, what are these artificial acids and how these artificial acids are formed? Artificial acids, that is the man-made acids, are formed by dissolving different oxides in water. For example, you all know carbon. Carbon is a non-metal. Sulfur. Likewise, all such non-metals, when the oxides of such non-metals are dissolved in water, what happens is that different acidic substances are formed. For example, oxides of carbon, we can say carbon dioxide. When it is dissolved in water, it forms H2CO3, that is carbonic acid. Likewise, we find the formation of different acids when the oxides of different metals are dissolved in water. Now let us learn about what are concentrated and dilute acids. Concentrated and dilute acids, these are two different acids. Concentrated acids are those acids which are having a large amount of acids. That means the solution is saturated, or if it contains large amounts of acid, then such acids are called as concentrated acids. But if the solution contains very small amount of acidic substances or acids, then it is called as a dilute acid. Students, you need to remember one thing, that these concentrated acids are those acids which contains large amounts of acids, which are saturated solutions. So such acids are always stored inside a container. Why it is always stored inside a container? The reason is that if they are exposed to air and moisture, it will get evaporated. So concentrated acids are always stored under a container. Acidic substances that are present in air. Now we have learned about acids and their behaviors and the different types of acids. Now what are the acids that are present in air? Let us learn one by one. Carbon dioxide, oxides of sulfur, oxides of nitrogen, all these are certain types of acidic substances that are present in the air. So when these acidic substances present in the air, they come together and fall on the earth again. It is again called as acid rain. That means the rain that contains high amount of acidic substances. The rain that contains high content of acidic substances, it is known as acid rain. And it is only because of the result of carbon dioxide, oxides of sulfur and oxides of nitrogen which is present in the air. And how these acidic substances like oxides of nitrogen, oxides of carbon and carbon dioxide are present in the air? It is because we know that carbon dioxide is formed by the respiration of plants and animals. And not only this, by the combustion of different fuels. Also, we find that the formation of or accumulation of carbon dioxide gas in the atmosphere. Oxides of sulfur, it is mainly formed when the sulfur and sulfur containing minerals and fuels are burnt. When it is burnt, these oxides of sulfur are accumulated in the air. Likewise, we find the oxides of nitrogen by the direct reaction between nitrogen and oxygen in the sky. Secondly, we shall discuss about some of the general behaviors of acidic substances. Acids, they are always sour in taste. They turn the blue litmus to red in color. They corrode most of the metals. Most of the metals are corroded by acidic substances, and this is the reason why the pickles or any sour foods are not stored in metal containers. They are always stored in plastic or glass containers because these acidic substances always corrode metals. Acidic substances react with carbonates and hydrogen carbonates to liberate carbon dioxide even. So these are some of the general behaviors of acidic substances. Now let us learn about the uses of acids. If we go on learning about the uses of acids or finding out the uses of acids, acids are used in many ways. Let us discuss some of the mineral acids. First of all, you have learned that hydrochloric acid, nitric acid and sulfuric acid, these are some of the mineral acids. If you want to know the formula, hydrochloric acid, it is HCl, sulfuric acid, it is H2SO4, and nitric acid, it is HNO3, the formula. So how these acids are used? Firstly, if I say about hydrochloric acid, it is used as a bathroom cleaner in the tanning of leather and even in the dyeing and textile industries. Secondly, you can see the sulfuric acid. It is used in lead storage batteries to manufacture different batteries. In the manufacture of hydrochloric acid, fertilizers, dyes and detergents also, we use this sulfuric acid. And at last you can see the nitric acid. It is used in the manufacture of fertilizers as well as in the manufacture of explosive dyes and drugs. So these are some of the uses of mineral acids. Now if we discuss about the natural acids, that means the acids that are found in different food items which occurs or naturally, such acids are called natural acids. For example, ascorbic acid. It is used for preparing vitamin C tablets, or we can say different vitamin C medicines as syrup also. Citric acid, it is used as a flavoring agent and also as a food preservative. Acetic acid is also used as a flavoring agent and for food preservative. Tartaric acid, which is found in tamarind, it is used as a souring agent and even in the manufacture of baking powders and all. Students, we have completed regarding the acids, its behaviors its properties, its uses, and how these acids are formed. Now we are going to discuss about the bases. You have learned that bases are things or substances that always react with acids to cancel the effect of acids or to form a neutralization reaction along with the formation of salt and water. They react with acids to form compounds that are salt and water. Salt and water, these are the two compounds which are always formed when an base reacts with acids. Let us give you one example, that is sodium hydroxide, 2NaOH. That is sodium hydroxide. It is used as a base when it reacts with sulfuric acid, that is H2SO4. What happens is that it forms sodium sulfate and water, that is Na2SO4 and H2O, that is water. In this way, we find the formation of two compounds as salt and water whenever a base reacts with acids. The reaction between the bases and acids, it leads to a neutralization reaction. That means it cancels the effect of acidity and leads to form a neutral reaction. Secondly, we have got about alkalis. These alkalis are nothing but these are some soluble bases. All those basic substances which are soluble, these are considered as alkalis. So sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, these are some of the basic substances which are always soluble. So all those alkalis which are soluble, these are considered as alkalis. And if you talk about some other alkalis like sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide, sometimes it is also considered as caustic alkalis. Why they are considered as caustic alkalis? Because it sometimes leads to cause burns on our skin. So in short, you can remember that soluble bases are always called alkalis. Examples you can remember as sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide. How these bases are formed? Students, you have learned about acids, but how these bases are formed? Bases are formed in different ways. There are different ways in which bases can be formed. Let me give you 3 different ways. By the direct combination of a metal with oxygen. It can be formed by direct combination of a metal with oxygen. For example, you have taken magnesium, two molecules of magnesium. When it reacts with oxygen, it forms 2MgO. So by the direct combination of a metal with oxygen, a base can be formed. Secondly, by the action of water or steam on some metals. If water or steam reacts on some metals, a base can be formed. And the last way, by the action of heat on some metal carbonates. For example, you have taken calcium carbonate. So if it is allowed to undergo heated, then it will lead to the formation of some basic substances. Let us learn about the behaviors of basic substances. Basic substances are generally bitter in taste. That means they always taste bitter. They do not have any other taste other than the bitter taste. They turn red litmus blue. That means if we use a litmus paper as an indicator, the color changes to blue. And the changes of the color to blue, it indicates the presence of basic substances. They always neutralize acids. As I have told, the bases are substances that react with acids to form a neutral reaction. That means they neutralize acids. And lastly, caustic alkalis, that is sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, which you have learned, which sometimes leads to cause burns on our skin. They corrode glass and some metals even. So these are some of the general properties of basic substances. If you learn about the uses of bases, then bases are also used for various purposes. They are used for neutralizing acids and acidic substances. Caustic alkalis like sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide are used in the manufacture of soups for different purposes as bathing, washing and all. It is obtained from the oils and fats. Lime, as you all know, it is used as a whitewash. Colored oxides of metals like iron, cobalt, chromium, and copper are used for making colored glasses. So these are some of the uses related to the bases. Now, if we discuss about the salts, then salts are neither acidic nor basic substance. They are neither acidic nor basic. So how these salts are formed? Salts are neutral substances, as you all know. They are formed in three different ways by the direct combination of elements. By the direct combination of elements. For example, sodium, as you all know, 2Na, that is 2 atoms of sodium. When it reacts with 2 atoms of chlorine, it gives 2NaCl. That is sodium chloride. So what happens here is that two different elements, they come in direct combination. So when the sodium comes in direct combination with chlorine, it leads to the formation of sodium chloride, and which is a salt. So in this way, salts can be formed by the direct combination of elements, by the action of an acid on a metal sometimes, and also by neutralization reaction, as you have learnt under the formation of bases. How these bases are formed, how these bases reacts with the acids. Bases, when it reacts with acids, it leads to the formation of salt and water. So by the neutralization reactions, sometimes salts are formed. By the action of an acid on a metal, these salts are formed, and also by the direct action of different elements, salts are formed. These salts, they are always found in abundance in nature. In the earth's crust, we find these salts especially in rivers, lakes, and seas and all. How these salts are found in rivers, lakes, and seas? They are always found in dissolved state. A large number of them, it gets easily dissolved in rainwater, and they are discharged into different lakes, rivers, and lastly at the sea. Such as salts such as chlorides, bromides, iodides, and sulfates of sodium, potassium, magnesium, and calcium, these are all obtained from the seawater only. If you refer the table that you have got in your book, page number 15, table 2.3, you can get many hints related to the salts. That means salts are not only of one type, salts are of many different types, and its occurrence, how they are occurred. Now, let us learn some of the uses related to salts. Salts, as you all know, the salt that you use in your home, the most common one, that is sodium chloride, NaCl. It is used in our homes. If we go for taking the curry without salt, it is quite tasteless. We are able to get the taste in our food or the curry only because of the addition of the salt. So salt is often used as a flavoring agent, and it is not only used as a flavoring agent, sometimes it is also used for, as a food preservatives. For example, you know the dry fishes and all. These dry fishes, these are always preserved by adding salt. How? If you talk about the pickles, pickles are even preserved by the addition of the salts. Along with the salts, some other metals or chemicals or other things are also used, but salt is also used as a preservative. So let me give you 2 or 3 examples. Sodium chloride as a flavoring agent in food and in the manufacture of hydrochloric acids even. Sodium iodide, it is used as a supplement to common salt. Common salt, that is sodium chloride. Sodium chloride has been added up with sodium iodate, and this sodium iodate, it leads to the addition of iodine in the salt that we are taking every day. What is the importance of the addition of this sodium iodate in sodium chloride? Because it prevents us from a disease known as goiter. You all have learned about it when you were in your previous classes. Goiter is a disease which leads to a swelling in the throat. So to prevent ourselves from such disease, sodium iodate is often added up with the common salt. Sodium benzoate, it is also used as a food preservative. Likewise, you have got many uses of different salts given in your table 2.3. All of you refer and go through the table, and if you have any queries or any doubts regarding this chapter, you can ask me every night by calling me in between 8 to 10. With this, I end up my class. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a nice day.